Mr. Sanjay Gupta. So that kind of panel we are having at the moment, and you all can benefit from their efforts and efficiency which they have in getting the pre-IPO investments, maybe 5 to 20, 50, whatever crores is required, and then taking it to the listing and IPO levels. So, and Gurmeet ji, he is very well known. You would have seen him many times on the television, on shares and and I think his intelligence and his deliberation would be of very importance to all of you to know about it. So, friends, my at the moment I am here speaking on the governance or the governance part in an IPO. So, what investors are looking for basically. So when we say governance, I would say 3 to 4 points basically in short to cover it up. When a company is moving to an IPO, it means it is moving from a shareholder, individual driven company to a shareholder driven company, a very professionally managed company. So you have to have a very good governance, your board, your independent director. It's not a case that you appoint an independent director on the day when you are going for IPO. As a good corporate governance, you can have it prior to, long before you're at an early stage. You should have a proper board committees wherever, so that decisions seems to be driven on a professional manner rather than taken by one of the individual or a promoter. You have to see that you are not doing related party transaction, and if it is done, it is done as per the Companies Act, and all disclosures and everything is in place. You have proper committees, audit committee and other things, and you are complying all the statutory filings and other things. So the preparedness, corporate governance is very high. I mean, if you are a properly governed company, then definitely it gives a very smooth listing. The process is very smooth, and eventually it gives a very good market valuation. So that is the role. I mean, most of the company feel it's a cost. We'll do it later on whenever aaj karke kya karenge. But no, that is you have to do early stage and you have to start early. And it give definitely will give a lot of fruits to your company. So I think in a short time we can say that your corporate governance would be require your board, a proper board, proper committees, proper legal formalities or the compliances under Companies Act or various other commercial laws, and you are doing all what is required to keep a professional company very professionally managed. I think I will cut my time here and I will invite. Nidhi, I am moderating the session to take it forward further. So, with this,
Sure.
so we will pitch in with more questions to the panelists, and we'll having a cross dialogue with the among panelists. So, I would invite now Gurmeet ji to give his views on the pre-IPO to IPO journey and how things are, how investors perceive them, what are the trends and what are the valuation, and is it a good time? So various your intelligence and your whole deliberation is sought by us. Thank you. Most welcome to Gurmeet ji.
Thank you, Sameer, and
Yeah.
thank you, Sanjeev ji, thank you, everyone. So I think I'm very excited because I am an SME. I have become an entrepreneur after completing my stint with Citibank. We've set up a wealth management and a PMS firm by Complete Circle. I think never before the environment is so good. एक time था कि even banks were not entertaining. Whenever you had to raise capital, raising was always an issue. And even if you got capital, the working capital limits, the limit was an issue. Second, ब्याज interest बहुत ज्यादा लगता था, 12, 13, 14% we used to get that. I think just see the kind of capital formation is happening. Obviously, 24, 25 में frenzy था, right? And I mean, even an auto dealership company was getting listed and getting subscribed 70 times. I think post that, SEBI has really regulated the sector, which Sanjeev ji and Sabir ji highlighted that the focus of the pre-IPO to IPO should not be just value creation for the promoter. The IPO is just one of the milestones. It is just one step of the long-term journey you want to take, in terms of establishing. Why do you go public? So, obviously there is a realization of the net worth of the company. Second is you are able to attract talent. And then you have accountability goes up. You have to declare quarterly earnings, uh, compliances, build processes, get professionals. I think that's the bigger part of it. And if the only goal is to get, take some money off the table, then I think this session is not for you. I think that is not what we subscribe to. The goal of this entire journey has to be, the first step is recognition, and this helping you as a milestone and a base to really turbocharge your growth. Just to give you some figures, we had more than 250 IPOs in 2025, a lot of frenzy. 2026 now with SEBI, regulating things, things are becoming more channelized. And you'll be surprised, some 65 companies post-COVID has migrated from SME to the main board. And that's quite a big number. Recently, you had Vivian Tech, which has just moved in June to the main board. You had Shanti Education, which moved, I think, in April, if I'm not wrong. You had Jeena Seekho, which is, the Kalka and Punjab-based Ayurvedic platform, Acharya Manish. I mean, the company is doing very well. Recently, Abacus has picked up a large stake in that company. It has created tremendous wealth. They are already at, I think, 2,300 beds and adding more. So I can go on and on. So as I said, there are 65 companies which migrated from SME to the main board. And imagine the potential we have, right? Just to give you a figure, I am from wealth management industry. We have SIPs alone coming at 31,000 crores a month. महीने का $3.5 billion domestic investors pump कर रहा है retail. I'm not even talking about LIC and institutions and insurance companies. A lot of people say markets are not good. Imagine FIs have pulled out $100 billion in last 2 years, $35 billion in last 5 months, and abhi bhi market is at 24,000. Just to give you a perspective, in March, COVID, they had sold only $10 billion and the market was down 40%. The biggest takeaway is I'm not saying we don't need foreign capital. We definitely need foreign capital. Our dependence on foreign capital has come down significantly. There is domestic saving pool, which is good enough for any kind of capital raising. So I was looking at some data. There are now 300 SME IPOs together would be raising about and doing a capital formation of 13,000 crores. That's the kind of strength. India is a land of SMEs. Majority of our GDP is SMEs. So I think this session we intend to not only help you in the journey, but also tell you in terms of how to become bigger, better, efficient organization. That was the opening comment for me. Thank you, Sanjeev ji, and thank you, Samit.
Yeah. Thank you, Gurmeet ji. So, taking forward this, I think we will have the opening comments we had from the panelists. I think we'll have a uh, discussion among the panelists. So we'll take up the questions which are very burning issues in this pre-IPO to IPO journey, and which are sent to us offline also. And maybe we'll take up the questions after we have our discussion. So let me first put this. So PR can put all the three panelists on the screen so that we can have a discussion. So first question is to Gurmeet. What do you think? Why is pre-IPO is emerging as an attractive asset class to the investor? Do as investors look at it as an why it is emerging as an attractive asset
See,
class?
one is that in good companies during IPO, bulk of the money is taken by the anchor investors, which are largely mutual funds. And good IPOs obviously get oversubscribed, and you may not get the necessary quantity, which you want to, let's say, take part. So that is from a investor perspective, that is why a lot of HNIs, ultra HNIs, family offices are interested in getting in the pre-IPO stage. Second, from a company perspective, it brings a lot of credibility in your cap table. So let's say if you have a good family office or if you have a good PE fund coming into your cap table, it lends a lot of credibility on the governance. See, one issue which is a problem in India where people get very scared in small micro cap is the promoter, right? अब देखिए राजेश exports है 90.7 without taking name 97% sales were first. Then you had something like 1% beverage. I remember there was a company which had a Yamaha dealership, and and hardly any revenue, and that got subscribed, right? So what happens is in a pre-IPO, what happens? It's not only helps you raise a little bit of money, it brings a lot of credibility if the name is very good. Pre-IPO should not be only used just to raise money, even IPO for that matter. Pre-IPO should be used to get some marquee good names. I don't know a lot of you remember. It's not a very relevant example. DMart, before coming public, Avenue Supermart, Radhakrishnan Damani gifted 0.5% equity to Ramdev Agarwal ji of Motilal Oswal. He gifted it as a friend, right? Uh, just as a gesture, and because he wanted somebody of his caliber to be on the captain, right? If you look at any good companies which have come over a period of time, of very successful IPOs, you will see a lot of investors entering, good investors, quality investors entering pre-IPO. We've seen that with so many startups. The recent example is SpaceX. The pre-IPO round ensured that the SpaceX valuation itself touched $1.5 trillion, on listing, with who's and who investing in the. So from an investor perspective, it helps you get sizable allocation in a good business you want to be. But what to buy, everybody tells you. How much to buy, nobody really focuses on, which is the main part. Second is from a company perspective, it makes very, very good sense to have good merchant bankers, marquee investors to start your journey. It lends credibility, and as I said, your objective should be to get eventually to the main board. Exceed, maybe get into 4 digit on market cap. Profitable growth, attract right professionals, get right processes. I think that's the real purpose of doing it, and that should be the purpose of taking this journey.
So rightly said to the audience who are there, who are looking for a fundraise or a IPO or a pre-IPO. So there are breed of startups or companies who are running after PEs and VCs to raise the money, and so this pre-IPO investment and then looking for an IPO is also an alternate to series of PE rounds. So you can also evaluate and keep in mind that this route is also there, provided you are performing there. In PEVC, you may not be performing, but you may get funds. But here you are tested on every count. If you are good, then only you will go for further. So my next question will be to Sanjeev ji. You have been merchant, you are a merchant banker, you have interact with so many companies day in day out. So what do you think, what investors are looking beyond revenue growth when they are assessing for pre-IPO investment? Other than revenue growth, what are the other things which investors look in?
So let me first at the outset say, Gurmeet, you always warm my heart with the kind of 360-degree global perspective that you bring on any discussion. And I thank you for that. I think a
Thank
very
you, sir.
beautiful answer Gurmeet has given already, that your target should, at the time when you start thinking about an IPO, the thought process itself, when it starts, your target should be set, the investor return. Gurmeet ji, you rightly brought out also a very beautiful concept of the cap table. The promoter till now does not understand cap table. He thinks मेरी जितनी ज्यादा शेयर होल्डिंग होगी उतना ही मैं अच्छी कंपनी चलाऊंगा. You brought out a beautiful perspective. I said, because in DMart, Mr. Damani did not bring or did not give 0.5% shareholding to Ramdev Agarwal ji only because of his love and affection. He did it because he was building a much, much bigger company, which is today one of the largest companies in this country in retail. And he set the retail revolution in motion. So you have to understand that the marquee names on your cap table is growing your value. You may own XYZ percentage at the end of this whole process, but unless it's valuable, it's as good as what you were before listing. And you are not going to do it unless it is architectured so well that from pre-IPO, I mean, you must plan who is coming on your pre-IPO, which quality of investors. Will they be recognized for their quality, or you will just have again a quantity? You can go around passing the shares to your family and friends again, they might come in. But they are not the right candidates. You are now targeting investors at large. And if your focus is, I come again to the target, if your focus is only this IPO, believe me, you are not winning. Your target should be returned to investors and the main board listing also, if you're coming for an SME IPO. Of course, we handle both SMEs and main board listings as well. But I'm just saying that what your target should be. And what investors are looking for is ingrained in what you are wishing to offer them, because they are looking for returns. And I gave you a code which is 12 Pre-IPO investor, you should take people of the quality that come in at one valuation. You should be sure that your IPO is going to come out at twice that valuation. You should also be very, very sure that twice of that, which is 1, 2, ka 4, in the valuation stage. And then who wins? Of course, investors. That is what they're looking for. Probably they're looking for a growth from there onwards for the next 3 to 5 years. If they are quality investors, they'll stay on long-term basis with you. If they are not long-term investors, you are in any case losing. I'll tell you why. Because if everyone becomes seller on the listing time, then who's a buyer? Your stock profile is going to be destroyed in any case. Which is why these marquee names, which is why these long-term sustaining quality investors are required, and which is why you must trust yourself with qualitative players. Some of them are on this panel as well. The kind of work Samir Rastogi ji does in this, sitting in his office here in Gurgaon, I get the fragrance of that in Bombay, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Chennai, and other places. Gurmeet ji, of course, we are very privileged that you are here with us, but his fragrance, not only in this country, but across the globe, is humongous. We all are there to help you out in plan a beautifully structured and architectured IPO, satisfying these investors not today, not in short term, not in medium term, but on a long term basis is what is the number one thing. Of course, you have to be very hygienic in terms of the health of the company, in terms of your management, in terms of your standards of quality of the entire due diligence capabilities and other things, and above all, your governance, which is the whole fragrance of this. So thank you
I will
once
come.
again.
Yeah. So I will come to Gurmeet ji. Before that, you just mentioned about ESOPs. So I would like to mention to the participants that ESOP is a very critical thing, because in your company journey, you would have promised somebody, I will give you some percentage. You have told somebody, you have committed, you are issued some letter, or you have given someone. So all those things has to be settled before you do a pre-IPO thing. So normally what happens in company, people don't make proper ESOP policies, ESOP documentation. वो ऐसे ही चलता रहता है, नोशनल पूल बना के अच्छा दो तुम्हारे तीन तुम्हारे. So but it has to be properly structured. So when we do transaction, we see that they are not structured. It takes a lot of time. Even explaining the investors what happened to this share, why this share to him, why this share to a particular advisor or something. So that requires a proper structure before you go for an prepare for an IPO. So I'll come to Gurmiji. Do you think there is a particular type of company which are preferred by investors, or how it is? Is there a certain type of companies, I would say, or a sector or company that which are blue-eyed for the investors?
So, starting point, Samiji, can be depending on the flavor of the season, right? It's like different seasons we have on weather. So right now the flavor is AI, it is clean
AI.
energy, it is robotics, it's anything to do with semiconductors. So I think that's the flavor of the season, and that's where you are getting very good interest and valuation. Look at, for example, Sarvam AI, which is our first LLM. They have actually done one round at $1.5 billion. And the companies, I mean, young individuals, and HCL Tech has participated, picked up 10% equity in the company. So that right now is something which is favor. But even brick and mortar regular businesses, run well, have enough interest. And as I said, it's just a starting point. Our objective should not be that what multiple am I getting. In fact, we should always leave something on the table, for the investors. And Sanjeev ji made that very beautiful point that we are concerned with कि मेरे shares कितने हैं. See, I'll give you the biggest billionaires and trillionaires of the world, and you'll be surprised with their holdings they have in the company, right? Elon Musk doesn't own more than 15-20% in Tesla. Look at his holding in SpaceX, right? How much does a Jensen hold in Nvidia? How much does a Mark Zuckerberg hold in Meta? Right? How much does a Deepinder Goyal own in Eternal or Zomato? Right? You'd be surprised. These are single digit to early double digit. Right? So India, in US, the average promoter holding is 14 to 16%. There they believe in becoming the pie becoming bigger, the game becoming bigger. In India, the average promoter holding is 56%. Right? Our government also, in so many businesses, government is not supposed to be. Right? So I think the goal should be to make the pie bigger, right? Make it professionalized. You want to be a 100% or an 80% owner of a 200 crore company, or you want to be, let's say, a 50% owner of a 8,000 crore company, or a unicorn. I think that's the larger call you have to take, and that is why it is very important to distribute equity in because the biggest challenge today is partners and good talent. If you want to attract talent and make them work as if they are owners and not 9 to 5 employees, you need to have stickiness in the company. So good talent is rare. There might be layoffs, but you meet any promoter, his first challenge is right finding good people. So be a little more magnanimous, right? In Punjabi we say, in our Gurbani we say daswant. Our Guru Sahib used to say that you should do 10% of your earnings in like 400 years back. Right. So at least 10%, 15% से तो आप stock option quota बना सकते हो in your cap table. This is what even our spiritual gurus have
एम्प्लॉय
told
को
us
दे
to do.
सकते हो, एडवाइजर को भी दे सकते
I
हो.
mean, we say we say kirat karo one chako, right? To distribute everything you make, and that is
अच्छा
where so
गुरु
some
जी,
of it.
एक एक पॉइंट, जस्ट टेकिंग दिस फॉरवर्ड, वन क्विक क्वेश्चन. हमेशा, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम, द प्रोमोटर ऑफ द कंपनी, स्पेशली स्टार्टअप्स, दे आर इन अ फिक्स कि मैं राउंड पे राउंड करके फाइलेशन बढ़ा लूं या आईपीओ चला जाऊं. सो व्हाट इज प्रिफर्ड? आई मीन, दिस इज अ डायलेमा विद हंड्रेड्स ऑफ फाउंडर्स एंड कंपनीज. सो हाउ डू यू ब्रेक दिस डायलेमा?
I'm again coming to the point. As I said, valuation is not the starting point. I think that is where we are getting it wrong. If you need money, let's say you are designing semiconductor chips, आपको पैसा लगेगा. Let's say you're getting into a capex heavy business. Let's say you are an EMS manufacturer. आप किसी के लिए मोबाइल फोन्स बना रहे हैं या एयर कंडीशनर्स बना रहे हैं या उसका कोई पार्ट बना रहे हैं, उसके लिए कंटिन्यूअसली कैपेसिटी लगेगा. तो उसमें आप money should be raised for the requirement of the business and not for the valuation of the business. Elon Musk
Okay.
needs money to launch rockets in space. That's a very expensive affair, right? So somebody for example, setting up a today's, let's say 50 nanometer chip plant would continuously need money. So उसके लिए पैसा रेज करना है. But let's say somebody like who's running an FMCG business, let's say somebody is sending Lahori Jeera drink, right? आपको पता है कि भाई कैश रिच बिजनेस है, आप जितना करोगे उस रीइन्वेस्ट कर पाओगे ना. कंज्यूमर बिजनेस you need not do multiple rounds. You can just do the first round, get good investors and go public. So depends on the nature of the business. If the business is capex heavy, then you can do multiple rounds and achieve a critical stage. And if the business is cash rich, high return ratio, asset light, let's say I run a wealth management company, I don't need money. मेरे को क्या केपेक्स करना है, मुझे ना फैक्ट्री डालनी है ना मुझे प्लांट लगाना है. So I don't need to do multiple rounds unless I'm wanting to acquire more businesses, right? So asset light businesses, maybe one round is enough. Capex businesses depends on how much you want to expand before you want to get questionable by people, because initially you may make losses when you are expanding. तो जब आप लॉस कर रहे हो तो पब्लिक जाओगे तो हर क्वार्टर का प्रेशर आ जाएगा. तो बेटर है यू रेज मनी, गेट टू अ क्रिटिकल स्टेज, become profitable, and then.
Okay. Okay, great. So I'll move on to Sanjeev ji. Sanjeev, now coming on to when we are going for an IPO. So this is one of the major question with most of the founders, ki when we should start preparing. So how early one should start proper, because you have a humongous experience on this. सो एक ये बताएं दुविधा को कि कब से स्टार्ट, फाउंडर सोचते हैं स्टार्टअप प्रोमोटर कल कर लेंगे, परसों कर लेंगे, अभी तो 2 साल बाद कर लेंगे. व्हाट इज, हाउ अर्ली दे शुड स्टार्ट फॉर एन एसएमई आईपीओ और एन आईपीओ?
No, I think it's a brilliant question. I'll tell you why. So this dilemma is there with almost everyone. Everyone, I would say, in the sense that the promoter knows कि चलो मैं IPO के लिए तो तैयार हो गया हूँ. He goes around to his chartered accountants, lawyers, company secretaries, and he gets an opinion that ठीक है सर, हम IPO के लिए तो बिल्कुल तैयार हैं. हो सकता है कोई एलिजिबिलिटी टेस्ट रन कर लिए होंगे, हो सकता है कुछ और पॉइंट्स. So even while you are ready, the most important point is when to start. I would say right now, when the thought comes in, you must meet some merchant banker. And the main reason for that is, you see, at times I have seen that the secretarial compliances and the other compliances. I take an example of a defense company in which we realize that the kind of permissions, regulations, permissions, licenses, etc., that were required by them, they were not ready. It took us more than 9 months to 12 months to get them prepared for an IPO and a lot of other things, in the sense that when you go through all of these, you have to keep hand holding the person and keep guiding him. Sometimes some things will happen which are out of their control, and sometimes they are not able to even understand why this kind of permission, etc., is required in the first place. So that is one. And most of the times I have seen people coming up and saying कि सर IPO में तो dilute करेंगे अपनी capital, but pre-IPO क्यों चाहिए हमें? So I think this seminar would have explained कि क्यों चाहिए. और आप सोचिए कि प्री आईपीओ में जो कैपिटल आ गई, अगर आप उसको ठीक से डिप्लॉय कर रहे हैं, दैट इज हेल्पिंग यू टू ग्रो योर बिजनेस फॉर आईपीओ. At times it helps by, one time growth itself comes in, which I have seen in the case when especially you are short of working capital and you take this pre-IPO infusion and you are able to rapidly scale up the business. So all of this takes time. Plus, if you ask me on a very, very broad horizon basis, even from the time that you will actually start for the IPO, the stages that are involved, including the due diligence, which are inclusive of the legal due diligence, the secretarial due diligence. It also involves most of the times the financial due diligence and others. And by the time you are able to get to what is to be done, the document is to be prepared, you get the document writing to be completed with all the due diligence, etc. Then you file with the exchange. It takes the exchange itself will take some time. Sometimes they could be overloaded. Sometimes your document will require some clarifications and things of this kind. Industry perspective is another important aspect, which is what is to be built in, and the exchanges also try to understand. Once your document is cleared, the capital market may not be really as favorable as when you started with. So you have to, it's a art and science together, in which you have to synchronize the whole thing to get the right, I would say, result in an IPO process. And you may have to be a little patient even at that time, even in spite of all other elements being there. Marketing, road shows, pre-IPO preparation, IPO preparation, all of this put together actually takes something not less than around 4 to 6 months or so. And other things, other time, as I just pointed out, what could be a spoiler can be required to be accommodated into that. So you see, it's a process in which lots of agencies get involved and lots of uncertainties do come in even at that moment, in spite of running an institutional kind of an outlook to your IPO. But
Sanjeev
put together,
wow.
so
Yeah.
all of this has to be built in. And sometimes I would say that, after all this, a very important thing is the marketing. Some IPOs may still need a lot of, road shows, and nationally and internationally. We just did globally for a particular IPO on a global level. We did some IPOs, and things like this war that has just erupted. I mean, so how could you travel to Dubai and to other places when the flights are not there? We have to all take all of this into cognizance, many things, and I think that's why I would say, once you feel that you are ready for it, you must meet your proper merchant bankers, lawyers, and others, and immediately take that forward.
So Sanjeev ji, one-liner answer I need on this. Is there any level of revenue? Because the audience here, maybe मेरी revenue इतनी हो जाए तो मैं IPO की सोचूं. Is there any benchmark that what what is the ideal level of revenue for an IPO?
So I will not say that what is the eligibility norm, but I would say what is a merchant banker norm typically. It should be in the region of, I would say, at least 50 crores to say 100 crores somewhere, unless your profitability could still be larger with a lesser number. And I'm going to benchmark it to a PAT number, which we would desire that it is in the region of around 7.5, 8 crores to at least 15 crores somewhere, depending on what industry you are in, so that you get an appropriate valuation at the time of the IPO, and so that we can take it forward. If you are not, it doesn't matter, because if you are the right company, we will still be able to give you time by bringing in a round of pre-IPO and other things and prepare you for an IPO, which must be properly cited and properly planned. That's what I want.
So,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So Gurmeet ji, one next time to you. In IPO, because there is again a dilemma with somebody has to do growth of the company and they have to see the profitability. या तो मैं profit बना लूँ या growth कर लूँ. So how the companies balance their profitability and growth before they are going for listing? Do you have your views on this?
I think different businesses, the metrics would again change. If you, let's say, are an internet or a quick commerce company, I think growth is important because only after a certain scale, profitability will come. Let's say आप quick commerce हो, तो आप क्विक कॉमर्स में पहले unless you get market share, profitability will not come. The unit economics only comes after a certain threshold. Let's say if you are a restaurant chain. A restaurant chain initially would need capital and only becomes profitable once you are done with, let's say, 50, 60, 70 stores, because age stores take time to age, for example. And let's say if you're in a consumer business, let's say you're selling hair oil, for example, or you're selling cosmetics, or so any consumer business. I think I think you don't. So I think it's a combination of that. And I would, as I suggest, if you need more and more capital, first, I think you should try and do it through private funding and reach a critical stage. See, burning cash in an environment like this, when you're not making money and only focusing on growth, with sentiment on the market not being good, is not a good thing to do. I mean, you may get under pressure, and
Right.
your focus might shift towards looking at stock price of your company rather than the business. Second, one point I would like to make, one mistake all of us do is we don't spend enough on professionals. ये गूगल देख के इलाज हम करते हैं जो अपना, दैट इज वेयर
Thank
द
you.
प्रॉब्लम,
Thank you.
right? And I think you will not believe I am a SEBI registered portfolio manager. I also have a relationship manager who manages my portfolio because I don't get my time to manage my own, right? And I think somewhere there is this, कि हमारे एक ये mindset है कि ये सामने वाला हमसे कितना ले लेगा, right? Without looking at what we will do in the entire process. I think that's the biggest challenge in my view. Get a professional who will structure you, right? It's a long-term journey. Don't think कि अभी ये इतने पैसे ले रहा है. Think of it that today I'm, let's say, at 10 crores valuation. Can I get to 1,000 crores? And to get to 1,000 crores or 10,000 crores, whom all do I need? I need professional who can fix my processes. I need a professional who can help me in terms of structure my businesses, create SOPs, take me to the right set of investors. कई बार पैसा आ जाता है, color of money बहुत important है, right? कि कौन
Yes,
पैसा
right.
दे रहा है वो equally important है. That's I personally attach a lot of value to the face of the money, not just the money. Because it's important, because
Yeah.
if you give a stake, आप ownership बांट रहे हो. It has to be the right person. Tomorrow he can create nuisance for you, and be not aligned with your long term goals. So ये चीजें important है. And get a early up you take the professional and you take him on a retainer kind of a thing, the better is it in the long term.
Yeah. So well said. The quality of the investor is very, very important. Suppose if Elon Musk puts a small amount in your company, it has a different altogether aspect. I
100%.
mean, yeah, and that is what I know that what NextGen does, they bring marquee and quality investors to the companies who are going for pre-IPO, which I have personally seen also, and that makes huge lot of a difference. I mean, that helps in listing also, and in otherwise getting businesses and various connects. the quality, you well said that the quality of the investors are very much important
Sure.
to
So maybe
even.
I have to, sorry for interrupting. I have to rush for an important call due to Reliance AGM for media. Can I
Yeah,
take
yeah,
one more last question and then I can log up and then Sanjeev ji can carry on if that's okay?
yeah. So there was one more thing. What do you think that in an IPO or a pre-IPO situation, what kind of dilution is acceptable for promoters? कि अच्छा इतना इसका dilute है चलेगा या नहीं चलेगा? What is the market trend?
इसमें भी दो क्राइटेरियाज हैं. लेट्स से इफ यू वांट टू गेट अ पी फंड और अ वीसी फंड, वो टिपिकली 10% से ऊपर इक्विटी मांगते हैं. एंड दे टिपिकली डिमांड अ बोर्ड सीट because they are not coming for round one. They basically want to participate in later part also and give you the growth capital. So if you're seeking PE or VC money, they would want some kind of a say, and they would also want to tomorrow when you scale up have a bit of a preferential, understanding of getting that. But let's say if you are looking at family offices only and only passive investors, right? You only need, let's say, financial investors, then it is up to you how much you need. So it's a function of how much money you need. It's not a function of how much you want to dilute. So if
Yeah,
I need a lot of money and I'm saying no, I'm going to only dilute 5-10%, it will not make sense. So as I said, starting point again, coming to the old point I said, the business requirement. If the business requires you to dilute 20%, so be it. I mean, if that can help you grow. See, the objective is, can I dilute ownership, right? And grow, or I can achieve the purpose through equity and debt combination. And that is where a good person like Sanjeev ji will come handy. He can exactly tell you what kind of a mix you should take. How much should be debt? Can I take a debt convertible into equity? Can I only
yeah,
take equity? These are very important questions. हम शुरू में ध्यान नहीं देते हैं. या ले
yeah,
लेते हैं इससे 5 करोड़, इससे 10 करोड़ ले लेते हैं, इससे 2 करोड़ ले लेते हैं. And we don't realize what we are giving, right?
yeah,
And sometimes if you are just needing passive money, it might just be a good option to take structured debt with
yeah,
very little equity. And that is where a professional will tell you that
yeah,
क्या preference share देना है, CCPS देना है, कि equity देना है, right? And it's a very difficult subject and a very important one because you're parting with ownership, right? So, and
yeah.
that's why I say get a professional, get a good person who understand legalities, get a good person who understand the entire investment merchant banking.
So I think the answer to these questions would depend on case to case basis, and not what kind of company it is and what kind of founder is already holding the shares in the company and what kind of growth trajectory it is looking. And lot many things would depend upon that. So I think thank you, Gurmeet ji. So you have to rush
Thank you
for
very
the
much.
so
Thank
thank
you,
you for
Sanjeev
being
ji.
the
And
webinar.
yeah,
Thank you,
So
thank
I'll
you.
Gurmeet ji.
continue
It
with
was such a pleasure being with
I'll
you once
continue with
again.
Sanjeev ji.
Thank you.
You
Thank you,
too.
Yeah,
Gurmeet ji. Thank
You
you
too.
so much
yeah, yeah. So
for your
Sanjeev
valuable
ji,
time.
over to you. Yeah. So Sanjay, when you deal with this IPO, so what importance does it goes to ESG matters? Because in India, when we talk about ESG, the companies are very अरे क्या करना है इसमें क्या होगा? They are not sounding too great for ESG. But how important it is to give importance to ESG related issues in a company when we are going for an IPO. So this is for the audience जो सोचते हैं कि भाई ESG तो देख लेंगे पहले बिजनेस हो जाए धंधा हो जाए but how important is the ESG because when you do so many issues so how it reflects.
Fantastic again. So I will, before I come to ESG, I'll just take a moment into where Gurmeet ji left. And I would say that you asked a very pertinent question to him that what should be the level of dilutions and whatever. I fully endorse that question. And I would like to only add one comment into this, which is summarized into though. But I would say the object of issue is very, very important topic. What is the objective of the IPO? And where is he going to utilize this money? We place a very, very important, kind of weightage to that for a simple reason that he could think that, अब आईपीओ आ ही रहा है तो कुछ भी काम में लगा सकते हैं पैसा. He does not realize that उसकी रिटर्न जो लानी है, that is equally important. That is his responsibility because investor is just trusting unsecured and a full of confidence money to the promoter. If he does not perform, it's the end of his career because wherever benchmark will happen, it will always come back to him. Now, I will stop here for a moment and come to the ESG part. And I will bring you to a mantra that I gave called growth. In that, the first word is governance itself. ESG, where environment, sustainability, and growth are the three key pillars of that. I would say that you will have to understand that you may want to sacrifice some portion of it today because you are in a growth phase and you think ये तो बाद में देख लेंगे. But let me start from the reverse order and say कि governance के बिना आपको कोई भी confidence place नहीं करेगा. So you have to have a great model of governance. You have to understand that this is what will bring the credibility to you. Whatever you do, this is very important. You have to bring your team, yourself in a model where you convey high levels of that. Sustainability will come from the entire benchmarking. It's been put in between the E and G for a simple reason that that's what is the rising pillar in between, which will create the citadel to what you are building. वो इमारत की तरह है. और एनवायरनमेंट के बिना आज कुछ भी आप करेंगे तो इतनी सारी कुछ भी आज पोल्यूशन, आज दिल्ली ये चाह सकता है कि इंडस्ट्री यहाँ रहे, but as a state also that is not being allowed because it is the capital city and you have to take out all the polluting, I would say, units out of Delhi. So you can see the government itself is focusing so deeply on that. Today, the bad, I would say the bad fuel versus good fuel battle is almost settled, and the verdict has already been written in the favor of the green energy. So if you see the green energy, the green buildings, whatever you are doing, if it is with a lot of consciousness there, आज नहीं करना, थोड़ी देर के बाद करना है, okay, but करना पड़ेगा. Let me just bring it out this way. It's a very, very a sense kind of a thing. So you have to think about building a great enterprise, a large enterprise, valued much more than what you think, that wherever your thinking ends, you try and think 10 times from there and then only can you build a great enterprise. उसको बनाने के लिए ESG की पूरी तीनों pillars और especially sustainability is very important, backed by environment focus and the governance focus. So I think that is.
I think that this ESG would definitely give a lot of credibility and I would say valuation or to the market or market cap
Yes.
बढ़ाने में काफी मदद करती है किसी भी कंपनी के लिए. These are
आज
one of the
quality
pillars.
investors समीर जी
Yeah.
नहीं देखेंगे किसी उस कंपनी की तरफ जो ESG पे फोकस नहीं है, क्योंकि if you see back to back the money that they are getting also, they have been mandated to focus on the ESG itself.
Yes.
So
You're
that
right.
is the reason why you will not get that quality money, which is what we are talking about.
So सर अभी किसी हमारे ऑडियंस ने डाला है, अगर ट्रम्प ने पैसा डाल दिया तो वैल्यूएशन डाउन चली जाएगी. So that's what in fact we are trying to convey, the quality of the investors matter. Wherein NextGen specializes to bring in such kind of marquee investors or the people which the market has the credibility. So that was the point we wanted to make, and you supported that. So
The
before,
quality was good 6 months back, but unfortunately now it's bad.
yeah. So
this is how it is.
लेकिन
Yeah.
देखिए ये जब आईपीओ आएगा तो सारी चीजें देखी जाएंगी आगे दूर तक देख के, and things are managed that way. Anyway, so before I think we'll take just two questions, Sanjeev. One is, which is very important. People say that they are having good PAT, good EBITDA, but पैसा आ रहा है वो किस टाइप के कस्टमर्स से आ रहा है, किस तरीके से आ रहा है. How that is important. The kind of customers you have or the revenue sources you have, how much that is important in an IPO or to get the investors lucrative to this linking to this kind of an IPO. Is that important? The quality and the breed of the customers.
Yes, it's very important. But let me take a moment to welcome my elder brother, Mahendra Kumar Rastogi ji, who's there, and I just saw him speaking. Thank you, Mahendra Bhaiya, for being there, supporting us on this. We are very proud that your continued love and affection is there for us.
Thank you.
I will now come to the question that Sameer Bhaiya has raised, which is very important, the quality of customers. So I'll tell you, for example, you see, concentration of customers is a little risk for any company in its growth path. So what would happen if suppose a customer holds a very large position in the revenue of the company? It's always found very risky by all of us, including we as merchant banker or some of the investors that we work very closely with. The second most important thing, as Samir, you rightly brought out, is what quality of customers. So, for example, I'll just give you an example of a company which we have just done a due diligence on. A customer which is buying your products but not giving you payments for more than 6 months or so consecutively, and thereafter its debtor position is growing more and more, is actually of no good, no value to you. Your cash flows will soon run out and you would be left high and dry. People, when they do due diligence, they are going to ask one question: what good is that customer which does not value you as a kind of supplier? He uses your products or services but does not pay you money. I don't think you need an answer for that. Second most important thing, whether he is a customer which grows in, whether it's a service industry or a product, whether he's growing his business with you, that is also to be checked out. Why it is to be checked out is that what kind of faith, confidence is he placing in your products and services actually reflect upon the whole of your company, starting from the products, the service standards, the delivery, the solutions and their delivery, and the quality with which you all serve that particular customer. Gandhiji used to say, you actually exist. If you are not doing that purpose properly, how can you grow? And this customer, I would say one of my very big mentor, he says always that if you can't see the God in the next person or the next customer you meet, probably you'll never meet him. So he's the God, he's the business objective. And if you serve him well, he probably is your recommendation point to hundreds others. And I think that's what I have believed always. I remember when I went to Gujarat for the first time, the first customer was the most impossible one. I was fortunate that I was able to solve the problem for them. And I think from 99 till 2018, I had the benefit of that same confidence carrying through in everyone. I think that's what we mean when we talk about customers. The quality and the stickiness of their faith on you reflects very largely on what kind of company you are building. So I think that would
So this is for the audience कि अगर आप investment fund raise के लिए जा रहे हैं, IPO के लिए जा रहे हैं, you should see कि ऐसा ना हो your all eggs are in one basket. आप अपने customer, आपका जो client या customer है उस profile को evenly distribute करें. You should try to develop it that way. है ना? So that is one of the important key. तो संजीव जी कुछ question आ रहे हैं and so let us take that. It is all yours. What is the role of persisting market sentiments and availability of liquidity while deciding the timing of the IPO?
What is the role of persisting market sentiments, right?
And availability of liquidity.
So I
मतलब
think
market sentiment और liquidity दोनों चीज को देखते हुए how to decide the timing of the IPO, basically.
So I think दो चीजें I saw out of this कि एक market sentiment और liquidity दोनों बहुत important चीजें हैं. But I think if you are worried only about that, then I think you've not planned your IPO very well. Because if you would have planned it well, see, there are two ways of planning an IPO. Again, I go back to this कि हमने एक कैसे भी करके कुछ करके पैसे लेते गए और अब आईपीओ के लिए हम खड़े हैं कि हमारा आईपीओ आएगा कि नहीं आएगा. This is not a great planning according to me. And this is the model which I call the fractured model or the fracturing model of the IPO market, specifically the SME IPO market. in which these investors that you are really banking upon, if they are retail or if they are not long-term investors, they are going to sell on the day of listing or the 30th or the 90th day of that. In all probability, if that is going to happen, and if that is the kind of IPO that is being spoken about, then I think you are in a downward trend. How can you change this downward trend? That is an important question. आप इसको बदलने के लिए क्या करें? इसको बदलने के लिए जो हम जिस चीज पे आज फोकस किया है हम लोगों ने, मैं समीर भैया को फिर से कॉम्प्लीमेंट करूंगा इस फोकस के लिए कि प्री आईपीओ से आईपीओ और इसके बाद की जो लिस्टिंग और उसके बाद की जो मेन बोर्ड की लिस्टिंग है, अगर सबकी पूरी प्लानिंग आपके साथ, पूरी कमिटमेंट के साथ, आपके फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग को लेते हुए मर्चेंट बैंकर ने आपके साथ कर दी है, तो फिर ये सब चीजें कम इम्पैक्ट करेंगी, थोड़ी करेंगी। हो सकता है आंधी तूफान में वो भी ये कहे कि मोमबत्ती जला के रखना, दिया जला के रखना इतना फायदेमंद नहीं होगा, थोड़े दिन रुक जाते हैं उसके बाद कर लेंगे, बट इट विल नॉट बॉदर यू इन एंटायरिटी. So that is what the answer is.
So I think Sanjeev ji, we have already crossed our time, but we'll take last comment from Rastogi ji. SME listed companies valuation, EBITDA, multipliers, etc. are not considered reliable for other investment transactions. Why?
Well,
मेरे ख्याल से एक जमाना था या आज भी है ऐसा, आई डोंट नो, लेकिन पहले था कि नहीं, तो बट ही इज आस्किंग देन.
नहीं नहीं, आज देखिए क्या है, ये बिल्कुल ठीक सवाल है, क्योंकि अगर तो आप एक आर्बिट्ररली क्रिएटेड वैल्यूएशंस पे जाएंगे तो वो इसी तरह के खौफ को पैदा करता है, जैसे कि महेंद्र भाई साहब ने लिखा भी है कि they don't become reliable in that sense. Once you are not reliable, your growth, you have stunted yourself. So what is to be done? I mean, you have to turn this around into a reliability model, positive spiral upward, in which you have to sequentially plan things that, while you may get less in the process, but it should become sustainable. Your each step should be such that it should become very consistently synchronous. मतलब मार्केट की जो अपेक्षा है उसके हिसाब से अगर वो है और आपने उससे ज्यादा खींच नहीं लिया तो दिक्कत नहीं आएगी. अगेन आई टेक अ कोट आउट ऑफ वन ऑफ माय ग्रेट टीचर्स हु यूज्ड टू से कि योर इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू शुड ऑलवेज बी मोर देन योर फेस वैल्यू. मतलब जब दुनिया आपको देखती है, अगर वो ये देखती है कि आप ये सब कर देंगे, अगर आप उससे ज्यादा कर सकते हैं तो आप जीतेंगे. पर अगर आपकी फेस वैल्यू विच बिकम्स मोर देन योर इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू, आप जो काम कर सकते हैं उससे ज्यादा आपने अपने फेस पे बता दिया या किसी को अपनी बातों से जता दिया, तो आपका गिरना संभव है. और वो तो ये कहते थे कि आवश्यक है, होना ही है ये, पर मैं वो नहीं कह रहा अभी. मैं तो ये बात कर रहा हूँ कि मैं उनकी बात को मानता हूँ और मुझे लगता है कि हमें हर दम टेबल पे कुछ छोड़ना चाहिए. इसी तरह आईपीओ मार्केट में अपनी वैल्यूएशन को इस तरीके से पोजीशन करना चाहिए, चाहे वो मार्केट हमारे फेवर में भी हो. अगर हम टेबल पे छोड़ेंगे लिस्टेड इन्वेस्टर्स के लिए तो हमारा जीतना पॉसिबिलिटी बढ़ जाती है और हमारा कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ जाता है, तब हम लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए एक बहुत अच्छे कैंडिडेट हो सकते हैं. यही कहूंगा मैं.
So I think Sanjeev ji, we have exceeded our time and it was very good interaction with the participants and Gurmeet ji, and you have really given a good.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah, बोले.
Sir, this is विशाल रस्तोगी from पटना sir.
हाँ
सर एक छोटा सा क्वेरी है सर. आपने बहुत बढ़िया प्रेजेंटेशन संजीव सर ने दिया, गुरमीत सर ने भी दिया, आपने बताया सर. मुझे एक बात बताइए सर, एक नॉविस बिजनेसमैन जो अभी जैसे मान लीजिए इंडिविजुअल या प्रोप्राइटर बिजनेस हो और उसको कुछ प्लान हो, वो अपना आईपीओ लाना हो, तो कब से तैयारी करना चाहिए, क्या तैयारी करना चाहिए, क्या उसको एंकर इन्वेस्टर मिल सकता है अभी?
See,
और
ये सारी चीजें डिपेंड करेंगी आपका क्या बिजनेस है, बिजनेस मॉडल. देखिए आईपीओ जाने के लिए आप इंडिविजुअल में तो नहीं कर सकते, आपको एक प्रॉपर कंपनी स्ट्रक्चर
कंपनी
मॉडलिंग सारी
स्टैब्लिश करना
करनी है.
पड़ेगा.
हाँ, वो
हाँ
सारा करना पड़ेगा. उसके कुछ मैट्रिक्स हैं, आप हमें मैसेज डाल दीजिए नंबर, उसकी क्या एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया है, क्या प्रोसेस है, वो हम आपको मेल करा देंगे. यू
हाँ
विल गेट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि उसके पैसे क्या क्या चीजें हो, बिकॉज दिस इज अ वेरी वे बहुत प्री क्वेरी है आपकी कि इंडिविजुअल कोई बिजनेस करना चाहता है वो कैसे करेगा, तो देयर आर सर्टेन सेट ऑफ एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया, अगर आप उसको मीट आउट करते हैं उसके बाद ही उसको सोचा जा सकता है, दैट वी कैन गेट इट मेल टू। क्यों संजीव जी, इफ यू हैव टू से, इफ यू वांट टू ऐड समथिंग?
No,
उसके लिए क्या
I think you've done it
Yes.
very well. And I think what the queries need to understand is that the point is that आप किस सेक्टर में हैं, किस कंपनी में हैं और किस स्टेज पे हैं, क्या आपकी टर्नओवर्स हैं, क्या आपका प्लान है, ये कंपोजिट चीज है। तो सिर्फ एक बात से ये बात खत्म नहीं हो जाती, इसको एक कंपोजिट मैनर में स्टडी करना होता है। तो you may like to reach us out through our website which allows an interaction also. तो आप भेजेंगे अपनी चीजें और हम आपको 4-5 सवाल पूछ के we will be able to guide you.
Okay, thank you.
Use our website, through that you can come in and we will respond in any case. We are very happy to have all the questions. They may look not too relevant to you, they look relevant to us always. It gives us an insight also कि आप क्या सोच रहे हैं।
ठीक है। So, okay, Sanjeev ji, I think we are running out of time. We are already ran out of time, but it was a nice interaction. And with this, I would conclude this webinar. But we will be doing these a series of these webinars from pre-IPO to IPO with different subject, different topic, different circumstances, and we'll be bringing a lot of insights on this. And those who are looking for an IPO or a pre-IPO or who want to get prepared for it, you can send us the mail or the messages. Our team will get in touch with you, and I hope to see you in our next webinar. Thank you, Vinesh. Thank you, Sanjeev ji.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Samir
Gurmeet.
ji.
So
In
we'll call and
absentia,
tell
I
thank you
thank
to
Gurmeet
everybody.
ji also. And I thank every one of you who spent this time. We look forward to your responses, your guidance, and also if you would like to come in as one of the speaker, what you would like to contribute on, do write to us.
Yeah.
We value all of this and thank you once again. I wish you all a great day and a great future ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all
Thank
of you
you.
for joining today.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.